eight, seven, six, five, four, three, two, one.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be with you this morning. It is a post-election edition, the election edition of Sudbury News Talk on CKLU 96.7 FM. You can listen to us on the radio. If that's where you're listening to us now, you already know that. Or you can stream us if you go to cklu.ca and you just click on the Radio Player Canada logo, and then their player opens. You can listen to us, stream us live there, or download the app. Listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. And remember also to, if you're there, to just remember that CKLU, it runs on volunteer hours and time, and also on your gifting. Your basically, we need money in order to run, and it is a community radio station, and so we need your support. So just make sure to support CKLU if you have the means and you're able to, and you feel it's something that you can get behind and support. We really appreciate that. For some reason, I just checked the comments, and the comment section is not functioning today to put people's comments up on the screen. However, I will be monitoring them on our monitor here. So feel free to comment in the comment section on our Facebook Live feed. That's facebook.com/Sudbury News or youtube.com/Sudbury News. Now, if you're commenting on YouTube, we won't be able to get the comments up because basically I'm not able to monitor Facebook and YouTube at the same time. And the comments, and like I said, comment section is not working on our studio, so we're not able to get those up on the screen today. And I do apologize for that. I have no idea why that is the case. It just is. And it's just one of those things. But I'd like to say good morning to Jesse. Congratulations to our new mayor, and welcome the new members of council. Pierre, yes, good morning. And that's a good segue. We have on the show today, we have Billy and we have Pierre, and we're going to get everything set up here. And we have a new 4-screen setup. So we look like the Brady Bunch. So good morning, Pierre. How you doing today?
Very good morning. I'm very well.
And Billy, getting used to
the darkness.
Yeah, you are kind of dark there. But you look good though. You look good in dark.
Right. Okay.
Not everybody can, right? So you look good no matter what.
Oh,
and
thanks.
And Billy looks as good as ever there this morning. How you doing this morning, Billy?
Good. I can tell it's a little too bright in here now that I look at Pierre's screen. It's like I should have some little more mood lighting, especially in the morning. My eyes don't really like this bright fluorescence here.
Yeah, interesting. Now, I think your volume's coming in through your laptop, Billy, and not the mics. Yeah. I'm not sure why, but it is. You still sound doable. I think it would be workable. It's just not through the mic, just to let you know on your end.
You're right. It should be fixed.
It is fixed.
All right.
Amazing, the difference.
Good catch.
Yeah, well, I know a really good sound guy, so.
You are a tech now.
Yeah. Well, the results came in, guys. Well, let's first of all, we're going to talk about the results. We got Pam. Good. Happy Tuesday, Pam. Unfortunately, we're not able to get the comments up. You'll hear that throughout the show just as people are joining on. I just want them to know that, if you're used to your comments coming up, I'm not sure why they're not. I'll try and fix that again today. But we had a really good weekend. Let's just kind of talk about the weekend a bit that we had, and then let's move on to the election results because there's lots to talk about. Pierre's only with us until about 8, and then Billy and I will take it from there. But we had the opportunity to go down and see the Beach Boys at Casino-Rama. I know Billy and I went down on the Friday, met up with Pierre, and we had the we had tickets courtesy of Pierre because one of his family members is actually in the Beach Boys and plays the keys for them. And my goodness, it was what an incredible time. And then I think you stayed for the entire weekend. Is that correct, Pierre?
Yes, I got to see the show twice. And so I got to go through that whole thing with a whole other group of people. We had, I think we had about 45 guests backstage and both nights.
Wow.
So that was pretty amazing.
It was really cool. I really enjoyed myself. Yourself, Billy? Any kind of...
It was one of the best weekends in forever. So
Mhm.
thanks for that. How many shows do they do a year, do you figure?
But on average, about 150.
Okay, so they really do that almost like every second night.
Sometimes they'll do 2 in a day.
Wow.
Yeah. They played the Olympics in Salt Lake City. And I think they did an opening show at the Olympics. They got VIP passes for the entire Olympic event, but they had to leave and go to other shows on the same day.
Wow.
So that's how big. In the summertime, they're really, they hop around. Those giant music festivals and country fairs in the U.S., they have like 50,000 people at concerts.
And they've done some presidential inaugurations as well.
Done some presidential parties. They've done birthday parties for Moroccan teenage princes. They've done it. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. They're all over the place.
Yeah,
amazing how enthusiastic they are. Like for the show that I saw, it's almost like they hadn't played in a long time and they're like reunited and so excited to play again. And it's like, it's really,
yes,
it's hard to do that a couple times in a row, let alone hundreds of days in a year.
I don't know how they do it, especially when the 2 leads are 80 years old.
Yeah.
The other guys aren't, they're not either. They're all, the youngest guy in there is 48 years old. They're all above that age. They're generally 48 to, I think Christian, Mike Love's son I think he's 48 years old, maybe 50 now.
Well, that sounds young to me.
Now,
yeah, exactly.
Natalie's chiming in here, and I knew the question would come up at some point, and it would come from a female as well.
Yeah, he's the honorary Beach Boy, so he's the honorary drummer. So when he can, he joins them for sure. So they'll, especially in the summertime, they'll actually book the John Stamos tour, and the ladies go crazy. I'm sure Natalie will be screaming with her arms in the air too.
And congratulations to Natalie, by the way. She won last night for City Council. So congratulations, Natalie. Way to go on that one.
That's
maybe we can get the Beach Boys up here to play for a party for the new mayor and council, and then maybe we can even get John Stamos up. But it was an incredible show. We had the opportunity to go backstage, had a couple pictures, which is really great because, I'm aware of the history of the Beach Boys. Unlike many of the new generation, it's surprising to talk to some people and you say Beach Boys and they say, who's that? And then you say, yes. Well, you do know many of their songs, and they're like, oh, which ones, And even when you tell them which ones, you say California Girls and they go, oh, what, The Weeknd or one of these new artists that have one called The Same or whatever. And you're like, no. It's and even David Lee Roth, you say David Lee Roth, we did it. And they go, who's that?
I think every generation has gone through this.
I think so. Yeah.
The fun thing was were you there the night with the kids from the music store? I forget which night you were on. You were on Friday, correct?
Friday.
Okay. All right. So the following night, my niece, Tessa, her husband owns a music school and a music store, like a guitar store, kind of like a Long and McQuaid in Milton. So they rented a limo bus and filled it up with all the kids who work or teach in their place. So these kids were generally, 18 to 25, huge music fans, musicians. And it was really fun, excuse me, to see them because they were in awe, This was a big deal for them. Probably the first time they really met a big star band, right? So they brought all the girls on stage to dance and everything. And it was pretty fantastic. It was good. I'll post a couple of things in the comments here just so people can see. I don't know if I can post video in there. Can I? I'll try.
I
Anyway.
don't know. Some people said they had a hard time with different things. Yeah, pictures even, putting pictures in. So maybe not video. Maybe a link to a video possibly could go in. But yeah, what a great night! And I loved the intro. So they had like a 5-minute documentary intro, which I really thought was cool because you kind of need that. It kind of fills in the gap for some of maybe the certain generation or even the generations who knew them that didn't know some of the facts of the Beach Boys, and how there was a huge rivalry between them and the Beatles for a long time as to who could kind of push the envelope with music. And Paul McCartney, John Lennon kind of basically saying how much they were influenced by Brian Wilson in particular and the Beach Boys in their, the musical talents and their songs and the recording that they've done. And it was really what propelled the competitiveness of the Beach Boys. And he compared it to his own competitiveness between Paul McCartney and John Lennon. They had a bit of a competition, a friendly competition, kind of who could one up each other. And so maybe some of the reasons why the Beatles were so great can be attributed to the Beach Boys, who were great on their own without any other influences.
I think that album Pet Sounds is largely regarded, it might be the top influential album of all time in a lot of
that one, Sgt. Pepper, haha.
Yeah, it seems to be the trade-off there.
And you mentioned a story when they were kind of doing their spiritual stuff with the Maharishi, did I get that correct, in India? And they were, playing the sitar and learning all the Indian culture and things like that. They're going through their spiritual thing. Well, the Beach Boys were there with the Beatles. I think the Beatles got most of the public or whatever media attention that they were there, but a lot of the Beach Boys were there at the same time. And you said, I believe it was Mike Love who wrote a poem and put it down somewhere, and one of the Beatles picked it up, and it was something about the USSR.
It wasn't quite exactly that way, but there were. I should have corrected that story when I was there talking to him. But they were discussing. There was something going on in the Soviet Union, and he had made some notes about it. And one of the lines in the conversation was, "Back in the USSR." Mike Love wrote that line, and then their song comes out.
Well, when you told me that, I went to the hotel room and I played it because I just wanted to hear it. And right in there is basically an ode to the Beach Boys. They go into it in two of the sections. They do basically a Beach Boys bit, and you can't deny it's the Beach Boys they're kind of mimicking in the song. So I think you might be onto something. I think that there's some truth to that story. And the Beatles are basically saying, look, we got the idea from you, put the Beach Boys right in there. But kind of cool. Very cool. So yes, we had a great weekend. Thank you so much, Pierre. We can't thank you enough. We had such a great time. Tyne and I and Amanda and Billy, I can't speak for them, but they obviously,
100%.
Yeah,
we'll have to do that again.
Very cool time, huh?
Yeah. And your brother looks so much like you. It was almost like seeing you on the stage. Like, you guys look a lot alike.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah. So Beach Boys are still up and running, and they still play with the passion. Like, I think they're maybe even better today than they ever were. Like, they just sounded so good and so on, and they just had that the stuff that gives you the tingles up and down your spine. They're still kind of doing it. They're not just out there going through the motions. So if anyone has the opportunity to see the Beach Boys, I'm not sure how much longer you'll have the opportunity, but really, yeah.
If you can go because 80 years old,
Yeah, exactly.
There's hips that go, and you just, 80, they must be tired. Just doing that.
Yeah.
They're not the way they used to on stage. You notice they kind of get a little bit. And
yeah. But no, they still do it though. And especially Bruce Johnston, he was like all over the stage and getting the crowd going and clapping, and, Mike Love kind of stayed a little bit to his area or whatever. But again, I don't know what I'll be doing at 80 years old. They're probably doing a lot more than I'll be doing. But so last night we had an election.
Yes.
And the results are now in. And Sudbury got a new mayor. Surprise, surprise. I called it from the beginning.
Yeah.
Did I call it, Billy?
You did.
Day one. Day one. Unlike Brian Cooper, who tried to call that the Wolves would win the last game. He texted me. He goes, I'm predicting the Wolves are going to win this game. I said, I'll hold you to it. Anyways, they were up 3-0 in the second period, and then they lost 5-3 against the unbeaten Ottawa 67s nonetheless. But I predicted from day one, as soon as his name came out, I said, he's the guy.
Yeah.
And Paul LaFive is our new mayor.
Probably a common prediction, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Billy.
Aaron, is he psychic or is he...
Well, I think I just based it on some common sense, really, right? So Greater Sudbury is waking up to new city council today after last night's provincial election. While the results are unofficial at this time, Sudbury.com, which this story is coming from, can report that Paul LaFave has been elected the Greater Sudbury's next mayor. In the ward races, there was an upset in Ward 5 with sitting councillor Robert Kerwin being roundly defeated by challenger Mike Perron. The races in several, I think he won by about 80% That's how much he won that ward, Ward 5. The races in several wards were close as ballots were being counted. Sailing to victory in the ward races was Natalie Labby in Ward 7, who's basically John Stamos fan, we just found out. Congratulations to you, Natalie, and congratulations to all of the other councillors, whether they were re-elected or newly elected. Deb McIntosh, Ward 9, Fern Cormier, Ward 10, Bill Leduc, Ward 11, and Wards 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8, and 12 were still close. By late evening, more complete results will be coming forward today. So I think, and I did look at the numbers, guys, and we're talking like some people were less than 100 votes, ahead kind of thing. So very close races. Even the ones that were won were like 300, 150 votes, 200 votes. So these were a lot of close calls. Is that surprising to any of you?
No. I think people wanted change. People wanted something new. And in my sort of random survey of friends and family, some people were saying, I'm just going to vote for the new person. That was pretty much the attitude. Yeah.
Really?
They just wanted to.
So they just wanted change. They just wanted to vote out who is in there currently.
People just want to change. Yep. It makes sense, right?
I found that the vote for the arena. Remember that big arena vote that even the city partook in? Like the citizens, there was the referendum whether we're going to have an arena downtown or an arena outside the city, where it was then voted for. I thought was a vote not only just for, okay, we want an arena not downtown. I don't think it was a vote for that. I think it was a vote against the city, period, just to show people can have that kind of power.
Yes. And it was, I was just down in Aurelia this weekend, and tiny little city, little town, 30,000 people. And they're downtown on a Sunday afternoon. There was nowhere to park. There were people everywhere. It's a tourist town, right? But their downtown was thriving. Every restaurant was open. Stores were open. No boarded up windows. Just an interesting comparison in your city or not.
Yeah, some of the comments.
The waterfront there. That was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Where's that, Billy?
Oh, in Aurelia.
Yeah.
Yeah, checked it out too.
Yeah, you guys did a lot in a short period of time. You're like, did some touristy things, did some casino things, did some touristy things. We kind of visited a bit.
But yeah, the vote for the oftentimes with those big issues they're votes for a specific thing, but they're a sign of something else, right?
Yeah.
And that was just such a divisive thing. I don't know if it'll take a while to recover from that.
I know that was bad.
Apparently years ago, when they built what was called the City Center back then, now it's called the Rainbow Center. apparently that was as controversial, even more, because they demolished, I don't know how many hundreds of acres downtown of houses and everything. When you look at those old photos, there was like a 5-year period where there was just bulldozers and mud in that area, which is pretty crazy. They just wiped out everyone's houses. Urban renewal, they called it. But
there's probably a lot of historic buildings that a lot of people wanted to keep. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And the market apparently was thriving. It was a poor area, right? But they had trains going through there. There was all kinds of auto body and industrial outlets and different kinds of things like that, and houses all jumbled in. So it was probably really chaotic from the photos, the Borgia Market, they called it. But my dad talked fondly of it as a kid. He said, oh yeah, we'd go down there as a kid, and just there were chickens and stores and trucks unloading things. And but so when they were doing the urban renewal in, I guess, 69, 70, whatever year that was, it was very controversial, because it was essentially, we're going to tear down this poor neighborhood and rebuild. So they moved all those people into the Louis Street townhouses and the co-ops up on the hill, and then they built the mall. So they replaced a thriving downtown with a mall, and here we are today.
And again, controversial, and there's good and bad with it, right? Like, I think some of it cleaned it up a bit, modernized it. At the time, malls were the thing, and it brought the mall downtown, so it brought everyone still downtown. It just changed everything. Probably from more local to more corporate, I would think, because they had a big grocery store in the mall. They had the Eaton's. Remember, big Eaton's store was in there. So a lot of corporate stores.
It was Bonnie Mart at the time. I think it was a big.
There was Eaton's on one end and Bonnie Mart on the other. They were the anchor stores.
And I even think the Rainbow Center has a new name now. I think it's even moved on from that. But it was interesting. The voting numbers last night, Pam is saying, was 49,941, which is just shy of 50.
That's not bad.
I know that's right up there with the most that's ever voted. I think 50,000 is the most we've ever had.
Hey, what is that in percentage? That's is that about a third of our voting population? That's probably half of our voting population.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, that 100,000 people, 18 plus, would you say, in Sudbury City? I'm going to guess that. That's a high number. That's good.
Yeah, it's right up there with one of the highest numbers we've ever had. And
one person at a time.
Online voting is pretty new. I think, is this the second election with online voting? And the last time there was a little bit. So,
yeah, I did mine online.
Yeah, I went out. I had a address change, incorrect address on my card, so I had to go out, drive around, and look for the place.
So 26,000 people voted for Paula 5 out of the 49,000.
Okay, that's a good mandate for him.
Mm-hmm. Pretty rock solid win.
We'll see.
I wonder how many people voted for Brian Bigger.
Have they published those? Did they publish those numbers? They must.
Yeah, they did.
For everybody.
I was looking at some numbers here earlier.
Okay, let's see.
I don't know if they included that. I don't know if they included Brian Bigger.
Everything in? I guess everything's in. Yeah, 100% reporting. 607.
607 people voted for Brian Bigger.
Yeah. Well, I guess being out of the race might have affected people's.
Okay.
Well, I think it might have affected for sure. That's what I mean. It should be zero though, right? Like that's the whole thing. He's not even running.
Big fans out there.
Big fans, yeah. So, just for the record though, Natalie did say, because we said she was a big John Stamos fan, it was actually her fiance who was asking if John Stamos was still in the band or not.
Admit it.
Yeah, that's funny.
Did they at your show? Did they have the John Stamos tribute? I forget, when the 1963 thing. Did they say this song was written in 1963?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, the year he was born.
So the one of the women behind me, she said, "That's not fair. He puts up a picture of John Stamos, talks about him, and then he doesn't even show up on stage."
Yeah, I could feel that in the audiences.
Me too, because the way he built it up was almost like, we're going to welcome.
On Saturday, they brought Tessa out, and so he introduced Tim from Sudbury, and everybody went, woo. There were a lot of people from Sudbury there on Saturday. And then he said, "Oh, and just so happens Tim's niece Tessa Bonham, gold medalist, is here." So then Tessa comes out, and everybody starts screaming, and then all these young girls come out, and so they had the big for Barbara Ann. Tessa was dancing with the kids on stage, so that was fun.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I felt bad for your one nephew that the Friday night. He's 16 years old. Oh,
He's a good spirit about it, but yeah, that must have been embarrassing.
plus, I mean, I put myself right in his shoes as a 16-year-old being brought up in front of all those people to dance, and I'm not a dancer, and I don't think he would say that himself. He would consider himself a dancer.
Oh, for your viewers here, so when they play Barbara Ann, they usually bring out a bunch of kids or friends of, people who brought their kids to the show, and they bring them on stage to dance. And my nephew, who's 16, you know how awkward they are, he had no idea, and they just dragged him out with all his cousins, and he's standing there like this. But he was good about it. He wasn't that mortified at the end. He was like, "Yeah, this will be one for the books."
Yeah, I saw Billy racing up to the stage. He was trying to get on for that segment.
Yeah.
You win some, you lose some.
He's been practicing those dance moves all weekend.
That's awesome. So very interesting. Do you know that there's 4 new mayors? So Sault Ste. Marie's got a new mayor, Timmins new mayor, North Bay, and Sudbury.
Huh.
I don't think any of the incumbents were running in any of those cities. Maybe the Sioux, because the way the story read was he got more votes than the incumbent, but I could be wrong. I thought I heard that there's no incumbents running. And then there was an interview with Paul LaFive on CBC this morning, but I just missed it because I had to get in the office and get the show going. So, but I do have a little clip of him. Let's see here. Video, yeah. So there we go. Should have had this all loaded up, but I didn't. It's right at the bottom after all the advertisements. Sudbury Star posted the video of him. Basically, here he is giving someone a hug. Very happy looking. Oh, sorry, I got to share my screen. No one can see it. Here we go. Apologize for all the people on the radio who aren't able to see this, but anyways, you will be able to hear his speech. We're just going to play a video. He looks very happy, as he should. He's the new mayor. Shaking everyone's hands. Very happy. Very, very happy. But here he is in the video.
And I want to thank all of you. Thank you for being here tonight, for being by my side.
Sure. First time ever.
Only started. Merci d'être ici ce soir et de votre avis. I am looking forward to this journey continuing and working with each one of you on each step of this journey as we make good things happen in Greater Sudbury together. Merci. Bonsoir. And I want to thank all of you.
We can add our own Paul LaFave. Cheers. From
$228,000 salary.
how much?
That's the highest. I believe it's the highest mayor's salary in Ontario. I read that somewhere. $228,000. So it went from 2016. It was 143,000, and now it's 228,000.
Yeah, there's yeah, but with inflation, that's hard to live on that kind of salary.
I mean, that's a nice raise. That's an $80,000 raise Bigger gave himself. Woof.
Yep. So now Paul LaFive is, he's able to, carry that tradition on.
So in 10 years, he'll have a pension from the federal government as an MP and as a mayor.
Yep.
Just like Jim Gordon. He has quite a few pensions going on. He has a federal, provincial, mayor, and teacher pension.
Yeah.
So he must be struggling with inflation.
Same with Rodriguez before he passed away, unfortunately. He was also a teacher, had a teacher's pension, was a provincial representative, an MPP, I believe, and then he was also mayor.
Huh.
I believe. So that's the thing, right? You can if you serve so long in public service, you can get a certain pension. But one thing I noticed from that little speech there, did you guys notice anything there of Paula Fave's little thank you speech that stood out to you?
I didn't.
Pray tell.
Please tell. Is that what you said?
Pray tell.
What's
Hopefully
that
I
mean?
have that phrase right. Well, I don't know. I heard it before and someone sounded cool when they said it. So I started saying it. I think it means, go ahead, please tell.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Same thing. So let's just watch the thank you speech again, because I was thinking about this morning. I said, okay, am I going to be, how are we going to cover the mayor thing when, are we just going to pander, or are we going to try and be like news should be and try and really dig and find things out? So I said, I'm just going to be myself. I thought that's probably the best way to go. But let's just watch the speech again and pay attention to anything. If you can tell, we've already seen Paula Fave represent Sudbury for so many years as the Liberal Party in Ottawa. But let's just see. Here's Paula Fave in his first public appearance as going to be the new mayor.
And I want to thank all of you. Thank you for being here tonight, for being by my side. It's only started. Merci d'être ici ce soir et de votre aide. I am looking forward to this journey continuing and working with each one of you on each step of this journey as we make good things happen in Greater Sudbury together. Merci.
Anything?
All I heard was continuing. Continuing with what?
So
I don't know. Colors? Are you looking at the colors? They represent something?
No, just the way what he was saying, and he was reading.
Oh,
he was reading something, and he was again like.
Well, he had a speech prepared.
Yeah, he knew he was going to be mayor right from day one, that's my belief, anyways. He's there to represent Trudeau for Sudbury. Like, you know what I mean? He's got a guy in there that can basically be his guy. That's politics, right? He knew he was going to win from day one, and that's his acceptance speech as mayor. Basically kind of fumbling through reading a few, not even a lot of, he didn't say much. Again, here it is.
I want to thank all of you. Thank you for being here tonight, for being by my side.
Did you have to read that?
It's only started. Merci d'être ici ce soir et de votre aide. I am looking forward to this journey continuing and working with each one of you on each step of this journey as we make good things happen in Greater Sudbury together. Merci. Bonsoir.
So I just thought that's interesting,
Pretty short speech.
Short, but he was fumbling through it and not getting certain words correct. And I don't understand. He was speaking in Parliament for 6 years, on behalf of Sudbury. I don't know. Wow.
Well, these words are going to be like written in the press. So you want to make sure you say exactly word for word what you want, the clip to say. So it's kind of one of those things. I don't know. Who knows what the event is like? If there's, a couple glasses of wine involved, sometimes you don't want to take a chance that you're going to end up, fumbling around, rambling on.
Yeah, so Natalie was saying a lot of people were there for the party, and it was a wonderful venue. Jim Gordon called me personally to congratulate her last night, and it was a wonderful night. Such good people. It's all very surreal, very exciting, for sure, definitely. It's a word salad speech with no meaning. Thank you, Karen. That's exactly what it is. So again, we're going to keep things real. And Natalie, we're going to keep things real. I'm very glad that you're in there, and you ran your campaign on being real, and you're the only one who lived in the ward. You're the only one who can really, do something that someone else who wasn't able to live in the ward. So we're just going to continue to kind of try and keep things real. That's our job here. And I'm just going to if I see something, I got to, good or bad, I just have to kind of call it. So this sounded like a pre-canned politician speech to me. Something that he's used to being. A mayor is different than being representing Sudbury in federal government, but I think he's just kind of running on the coattails of kind of what he learned before, and it's just political speech that was written for him. Well, who's Paula Five? I wanted to hear who's Paula Five, not what was written for you to read that you yourself kind of stammered through and stumbled through. It's not your words. Those weren't your words. I want to hear Paula Five talk. I want to hear Sudbury's mayor speak. You know what I mean? So that's just my own personal view.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't look odd to me. That would be, yeah. I mean, I'm one of those people that lives in a glass house in that respect. So yeah, I would have papers everywhere, and they'd be falling on the floor. And
I think he's not as rehearsed. I mean, it was a speech, but you'd think he'd be a little more rehearsed in terms of a little more kind of effusive, I guess, a little more inspiring. It was kind of felt like a high school election there. I found even on the radio, he didn't come out. He didn't come across as a leader. He was fumbling a little bit and didn't really dig deep. But I think that's sort of playing it safe, maybe. Not saying too much, not being controversial. And that's how you win.
He did run that kind of campaign. It was very politically speech in the middle. Everything was in the middle. Very kind of liberal. Everything was in the middle, which is good or bad. Who knows? It just is what it is. And so someone who is very outspoken, Robert Kerwin, though, had it handed to him in this election and lost. Michael Perrant, 80% plus of the votes. Robert Kerwin lost his ward, Ward 5.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I wonder if there was like a big issue in that ward that did it.
I don't know. Sorry about that, ladies and gents. I just tried to get the page off, but it started playing the video again. Yeah, I don't know. I think I think Robert Kerwin was possibly his own worst enemy. Now, the opposite of Paula Five, right? Just saying things that are just kind of lukewarm and not really rocking the boat. And I said it earlier. I said, at least with Robert Kerwin, you know where he stands. Like he's out there and he says what he says, with like it or leave it or love it or hate it. He basically wears his heart on his sleeve. But I think he was his own worst enemy with this campaign. Basically just digging in his heels, saying you just have to vote people that have already been there because of their experience. And I think I kind of called him out on that several times, saying that's not the way elections are done. You don't just vote someone because they've been there before. You know, like people are upset with the way things have gone. Like you're basically saying the opposite message that would resonate with voters, because they're very upset for the last 6 or so years here in the city with the way everything's been going. And you were part of that. Like you were in there. So you got to tell us why, like why should we vote for you again when everything was, a lot of people were upset. But maybe it just shows people in the valley are more upset with people than people in Sudbury, because a lot of councillors got in who were in there before.
That's true. There were some, well, I don't know. I think people have spoken. So
it is what
years,
it is.
There's 8 years. Yeah. 8 years is a long time. I don't know. I just don't like this idea of career politicians. 2 terms is enough. Go away. Seriously.
Yeah, I'm really sort of pulling for more of a direct democracy in the future. We've got online voting. Let's just put the issues right to the people. Politicians can turn into facilitators.
Because if you mess up, you're out. You're done, or your issues are out. Go look down. Go down the Switzerland rabbit hole and see how they do things. It's direct democracy, and it's very local. I mean, there's people over the mountain who don't speak the same language, and they're voting on the same issues. That's how they do it. It's pretty. It works because it's if your politician is not dealing with what they can actually experience, they don't have much control over it, which makes a lot of sense to me. So that's why the city council is so important. I think it's a huge budget, a huge area, and they have direct impact on our lives. And if you're not effective, then go back to your normal life.
Well said, Pierre. And I'm interested to learn how they do it in Switzerland, because my brother-in-law is actually just coming back from there now.
Direct democracy. They're basically like I don't want to say city states, but they're regional states, like very, very a lot of power locally. And so if they'll list issues, they'll say, okay, this year we're going to spend 100 million on roads, or 50 million on parks, or whatever it is. They list all the issues, and you pick your 3 favorites out of 5, and then your politician just implements it with the bureaucrats. So that has its flaws too, right? Because the mob, democracy isn't this perfect thing. It's mob rule. Is what fundamentally it's mob rule. We all love democracy when it's on our side, but we all know who else won through democracy. So you got to keep it in check, right?
Yeah, no matter what side you're on, right? Like whether you agree with it or not, you got to just go with it. If the majority votes for someone that you don't agree with, you got to go with it. You don't have any choice, really. So,
but I think it is something where the population does learn quicker that way, rather than if you just keep having a kind of like an elite making decisions, and they might be again, they might be sort of captured by financial interests or something, and and especially if the media is not really on the people's side, there's no way for them to get informed of what's really going on.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I want to be on the people's side, period. That's what I want to. I want to reflect what the heartbeat of the city is, or what people generally feel. And then I can't help but have my own points of view as well. So I have to throw those in every once in a while. And I'll say, this is my point of view. It's not anyone else's kind of thing. So, and encourage other people to share their points of view. And I think then we can have a really good conversation about what's important to us, and maybe make some progress. But that was in Paul V.'s speech. We're going to continue this progress together kind of thing. So he's saying the right things. Let's see. We're going to see how it ends up, right? So either way.
I'm posting in the comments a link to, for anyone who's interested, how their system works. It was established in the 14th century. So there you go. And it's still working today.
Interesting. Thank you very much, Pierre. I'm not sure if you have to go now or you're still good to be with us, but it's up to you.
Received my text for a call for my notice, so I'm going to assume that they're late, and I'll just stay here until they pull me over.
Hey, that's awesome. So
waiting here, so yeah, I'll just stick around.
Cool. We love hanging out with you, Pierre. So that's awesome. Shane says there may be a few positive changes on council, but mayor-wise, we're not going to see any changes in the next 4 years. Some old politics we've had. Oh, the same old politics we've had for decades. You know what's funny? Because I was going to lead in with that Who song, "Meet the New Boss," same as the old boss. But I thought our video would get tagged for copyright. So anyways, I was going to start with that intro. I kind of felt a little bit the same with that. Just like you said, Pierre, career politicians, they tend to already have those connections. They're already kind of working for this larger kind of thing that's already been set in motion. You're not going to get much change from that. They already have where they want to go. So
I think economically, we got the situation where he's pretty well connected in that world. And I think that was one of his kind of like, stronger points that he was campaigning on. So I would imagine out of all the candidates, there would be a flow, more of a flow of money, especially since he's connected to the people who are throwing out wads of money right now.
you make a good point, because Diane says a circle of liberals: Trudeau, Mark Sade, and Sudbury, Paul Lefebvre. And we also have Sudbury's representative too, who took over for Paul Lefebvre. So everyone's liberal in those seats. So there's no excuses for Sudbury now. Like, no one can say, oh, because of different party, this, that, and they don't have any opposition whatsoever. They have carte blanche to do. So now let's see what you got. Let's see what you got. No excuses here. It's all liberal all the way through. They're bleeding red, which we all do, but I mean political party red. So let's just see what they can do for us now, because there's no opposition. They can't say, well, Trudeau doesn't like us or whatever. Well, they could blame it on Doug Ford, I guess, in Ontario. That's their last one they can blame something on, I guess. But other than that, they got everything. Pam says there will always be unhappy groups when it comes to politics. That's true. It's impossible to please everyone or person or group, and that's true. And I love that, and I really embrace that we're all different.
Politics are not supposed to be partisan. You know, that you're not supposed to run on a party platform, and he did not. But we know, where they stand. So because you should be able to vote with your conscience and with your your intuition and your logic, not your party when you're at city council. Because is garbage a liberal issue or an NDP issue or conservative issue? I mean, how do you, it can extend out to that. I'm sure you can debate, if garbage should be privatized or not. Okay, there we go. But we still need garbage collection. So I don't know. I hope they leave the partisan stuff out of it. I have a feeling he will. He's a pretty moderate guy. I know him a little bit. I've chatted with him. He's not extreme on anything. So, but that also means, how do you take a stand on something? So
correct. Yeah. And I've met him once. I've only met him once. I know Mark Sade very personally. I worked with him for a while. He was my boss at Eastlink. And yeah, so I know Mark. I know him very well. We hung out a few times socially as well, like more than 10 times. We got together and we were becoming friends, just like natural, organically, and helped him with his campaign even. And I don't necessarily would consider myself liberal, but I knew him, and so I helped him with his campaign, and luckily he got in. You know what I mean? And so that's me. I think maybe I used to think of myself as less political than I do now. Like I'm a little NDP, a little conservative, a little liberal. There's a little bit of everything in me.
Rock and roll,
a little country, a little rock and roll, exactly. And so, but again, it's it's going to be interesting because there's no opposition here. Let's see all these connections coming through for Sudbury now with all of the Liberal MPs and our mayor with those kind of connections. Let's see if it's going to bring positivity to Sudbury, and I'm open to that. But I'll also be critical too when it needs to be. I just can't help it, and I think. I don't know if the media is going to be, so I'll just step up and point some things out when I can.
I got to run.
All right, Pierre. Thank you so much.
See you, Pierre.
Okay, Pierre. Thanks, my friend. Have a good one. Oh, that's an interesting little thing here. I'll just keep it like that. I was going to change it. So yeah, election results. So you didn't have a problem, Billy, voting?
No. It was pretty smooth. I brought my, my card with the wrong address. My driver's license has the right address, and they there you go.
And then how did you vote? Did you vote paper ballot or online?
Paper ballot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I don't think you can vote online in that situation, or I would have voted for the wrong riding, right? So, because it was a different riding.
Yeah, and they wouldn't have been able to change everything up. And just so everybody knows, I sent Brian Poulin out on a little bit of a research project about the voting, because a lot of people were worried about the voting software they were using. Jerome says Paul will be Ford's minion after the new powers city mayor will have. Interesting. Yeah, that's true too, because Ford was looking at giving mayors
More
and cities more power. So Paul V will be the recipient of that power, the beneficiary, if you will. So let's just see what Brian said. Brian was looking into the
particularly
software.
for housing, or at least for now, right? That was the one mandate that they were allowed to be granted extra powers for.
Yeah. Yeah, housing. That was the one thing that they claimed they wanted to give mayors more power for. And then they said, and other things that are important. And that's the worry I had when they said, and other things. Oh, what does that mean? Anyways, so FYI for anyone who might have an interest in knowing more about the company coders behind Sudbury's online voting platform, accessible, secure, efficient, and transparent elections. And that's scytl.com. scytl.com. That's who was behind the voting software. In fact, this company powers several municipal elections in Ontario, and you can find that information on their website by navigating from the main menu. And basically, yeah. So that was Brian. Thank you so much, Brian, for that. I was hoping he would come on.
We were in a casino last week, and I guess I noticed these signs on the wall, and it says something to the effect of like, the I don't know, whatever the digital one-armed bandits are called, but basically it says the spins, these digital machines are completely random, or something like they're making a sign to say like, don't worry, the software in here is completely random. So it's kind of one of those things where maybe it is, but I'm gonna reserve a little bit of skepticism.
Yeah, for sure. And I just read this morning on some international news, Japan is cracking down, wanting to force its citizens to get a digital ID. And if they don't, then their universal health care is shut off. So that's kind of like the future, right? So you bring up the the slot machines or whatever that are all random. They say, don't worry. They're all random, And then eventually we're going to be in that same world. Like our own identities will be computerized. We'll all be digitized, our identities and everything. And they'll say, don't worry. No, nothing will ever happen. Don't worry. The government will never there will never be a flaw in the software. Don't worry. It's foolproof. You'll never go to get something and they'll say, oh, I can't find you in the system. That'll never happen. Don't worry. We all know computers, that never happens. Right? So anyways,
I'm not too fearful of a technological future. It's just how, the lack of skepticism moving there that I think can be dangerous. It's got to be done with a lot of grown-ups in the room. You can't have these crazy situations where people just didn't check this out and, oh my God, we're in this situation.
Yep, exactly. Well, I like Karen weighing in on what some of her top issues are and were in the election, I believe. So she has a top 5 item list, and it's roads would be at the top, followed by geared to income housing, and then enough friggin' empty buildings to convert. A little bit of passion in her texting there. And what other items would you suggest? Oh, interesting. Well, yeah, that's interesting. So I like that. She put out the list, which I also agree with. I agree with that list because the whole thing was, let's deal with the basics before we move on to some of these legacy projects. Let's just make sure we got the things that need to keep a city going dealt with, because we had a huge homelessness, opioid crisis. So maybe the opioid thing I would add to that list for sure. That caused more deaths arguably than COVID did, and got way less attention and way less strategies implemented to kind of combat that. Anyways, so Brian just gave a thumbs up in the comments, and he also put a link to their website for everybody so we know what company was in charge of our voting, online voting software. So that's all the time we have today, Billy.
Well, it's been fun.
I know. It's not every day you get to have a post-election show, and felt a bit rusty in some regards, but it's just, I think everyone feels a little cloudy. That seemed to be a long campaign, I guess maybe just because we were talking about it so much on the show, but in some ways I'm just happy to start getting on with things. Let's get on with stuff. Let's move forward, as Paul said, and congratulations, Paul. I know it sounds like I'm very critical of you, but I'm a citizen who wants things to be a certain way in the city.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome. It's definitely needed to have, need that balance. And I think the media doesn't really have that balance right now. It's not the old style of journalists, I don't think, out there where they get that critical.
And it's all out of respect. It really is. It's just totally respectful. And I'm going to keep saying that whenever I say anything that sounds, oppositional or whatever, because I think we all need checks and balances, right? And politics especially needs it. And I think the media used to do it, but it doesn't seem like it's doing it too much anymore. And we have a really great kind of format here where we're able to just unpack things and talk about it. And so this is where we're going to do it. So thanks, Billy, for being on today. Heartfelt thank you. And
thank you.
We'll see you again when?
Tomorrow.
Excellent. Tomorrow. We'll see you soon.
If tomorrow's good with you, it's good with me.
Tomorrow's good with me. Thanks, Billy. And we'll see you tomorrow. Right. And thanks, everyone. Remember to like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Get the word out for Sudbury News. And congratulations to all the new mayor and all the new candidates and all the ones that were reelected. And let's move forward and have some fun and be positive. And we'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. And stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.